People running for cover amid gunfire. Vehicles set on fire, smoldering and charred. A truck riddled with bullet holes, tires flattened, bodies strewn on ground. All telltale signs of a violent struggle for an independent state of Balochistan. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya. Let's connect the dots of the Baloch uprising against Pakistan. This is Balochistan in southwest Pakistan, Pakistan's largest province, but its least populated. It is also Pakistan's richest province in terms of natural resources, but also its least developed. This is what unfolded here on 25th August 2024. There was mayhem on this major highway in Balochistan's Musa Khel district. This highway connects Balochistan with Punjab province. On that night, ethnic militants stopped vehicles travelling to and from Punjab. They offloaded passengers, checked their identities, singled out passengers from Pakistan's Punjab province, lined them up and shot them dead. More than 70 people were killed. The next day, the 26th of August, was the 18th death anniversary of Nawab Akbar Khan Bukti, former Minister of State for Interior and Governor of Balochistan province, a key figure in the Baloch resistance movement. Baloch Liberation Army or BLA, a militant group, said it was behind the killings. It said its target were Pakistan's security personnel disguised in plain clothes and not civilians. Police stations and railway lines were targeted too. That's not all. The BLA released a statement. It said it had killed over 100 soldiers in ongoing attacks on Pakistan Army camps and military checkpoints in what it calls Operation Herof. The resistance against the Pakistani state is not new in Balochistan, but this one was their bloodiest assault in decades, and so it makes for a dramatic escalation. So who is the BLA? The Balochistan Liberation Army is the biggest of many ethnic insurgent groups that are battling the Pakistan government for decades. Founded in 2000, it's been waging a violent struggle against Pakistan for self-determination for the Baloch people and the separation of Balochistan from Pakistan. Pakistan banned it in 2006 and designated it as a terrorist organization. Western countries such as the US and the UK have designated it as a global terrorist organization, and so has the European Union. But if we take an overarching view of the unrest in Balochistan, we see that the Baloch nationalist movement is divided between various separatists and factions. Their demands range from greater cultural, economic and political rights to political autonomy, to outright secession and the creation of an independent state of Balochistan. Their struggle is decades old. This region derives its name from the Baloch tribe, which has been living there for centuries. The Baloch people have a distinct culture, language and history. In 1948, Balochistan was annexed by Pakistan. Many Baloch feel their province was forcibly integrated into Pakistan. And since then, there is a resistance movement against the Pakistani government and a militant insurgency fighting for an independent state for the Baloch people. Locals blame the Pakistan government for exploiting and profiting from Balochistan's resources while neglecting the development of the region itself. They hold the Punjabis particularly responsible for exploiting Balochistan's resources and suppressing Baloch rights. That's because Punjabis are the dominant ethnic group in Pakistan, and they dominate Pakistan's politics, economics, and military. The Baloch resistance was there in phases through the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. Then came a relatively quiet period, but insurgent activities increased significantly from 2003 during the era of military ruler General Pervez Musharraf. The Pakistan state cracked down on these insurgent activities. It mounted counterinsurgency operations and used its army and intelligence agencies. Hundreds of Baloch people, many of them women, have protested in Pakistani capital Islamabad and also in Balochistan against alleged abuses by Pakistan's security forces. This includes enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. Protesters allege violent crackdowns by police, fake encounters, and custodial deaths. They say thousands of Baloch people have disappeared. They say their loved ones were allegedly picked up, tortured, and killed with impunity by Pakistani security forces. Though Pakistan denies these accusations, according to the Voice for Baloch Missing Persons, a non-profit organization, 7,000 cases of such disappearances have been registered with them since 2004. What's more, Chinese nationals and interests in Balochistan have been increasingly targeted by Baloch insurgents. That's because Balochistan is also home to Gwadar, a deep-sea port that serves as the centerpiece of the $60 billion CPEC project. CPEC, or the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is part of Chinese President Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative. China is also involved in mining projects there and the construction of an international airport in Gwadar. All face fierce resistance from insurgent groups in Balochistan. The Balochistan uprising is a complex issue. It is rooted in historical grievances and contemporary injustices. A peaceful resolution requires addressing the Baloch people's legitimate demands and ensuring their rights and dignity. The fate of Balochistan hangs in the balance as its people continue their struggle for self-determination. Japan has accused China of a serious airspace violation. On 26 August, Chinese military's Y-9 intelligence gathering aircraft entered Japanese territory near the Danjo Islands. Japan quickly responded by scrambling fighter jets. Reports say the Chinese plane continued to circle in an area near the Danjo Islands for some time after leaving Japanese airspace. The Danjo Islands are a group of small uninhabited islands in the East China Sea near Japan's southern Nagasaki region. They are an important national monument and wildlife protection area and not a disputed territory. Japan's foreign ministry summoned the Chinese ambassador to protest the violation.
The violation of our airspace by a Chinese military aircraft is not only a serious violation of our sovereignty, but also a threat to our security and is totally unacceptable.
Meanwhile, China said it has no intention of violating foreign airspace. Listen to what the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson says.
The two sides have maintained communication through existing working channels. I would also like to emphasize here that China has no intention of intruding into the territorial airspace of any country.
So why did China send a spy plane? Analysts think China might have been testing Japan's defenses and surveillance capabilities in the East China Sea. Reports say a Chinese military vessel was deployed nearby on the same day, and the vessel may have watched the reactions of Japan's maritime self-defense force. China is preparing for a potential invasion of Taiwan, and it's trying to stop the United States and its allies like Japan from getting involved. Recently, Japan noticed Chinese ships near the disputed Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea, which are controlled by Japan but claimed by China. The area is important for fishing and potentially has oil and gas reserves. China has sent Coast Guard vessels, naval ships, and even a nuclear-powered submarine to the area. Experts think China is reacting to Japan's growing defense partnerships with the United States and other countries. Japan is providing funding, equipment, and even troops to countries in the region. In July this year, Japan and the Philippines signed a key defense pact, allowing the deployment of troops on each other's soil. Now see this. Chinese Coast Guard ship rammed a Philippines fisheries vessel in the South China Sea. The Chinese Coast Guard also used water cannon on the Philippines vessel. These visuals are of 25th August. China's Coast Guard said it had taken control measures against the Philippine vessel that illegally entered into the waters near the Sabina Shoal. Beijing claims almost the entire South China Sea despite international rulings against it. With these recent developments, the question remains, will these airspace violations spark a new flashpoint in the East China Sea? Monsoon is wreaking havoc in Pakistan. Heavy rains triggered flash floods in parts of the country, leaving dozens dead. But guess what? This heavy monsoon brings a new wedding season in Pakistan. And who are the brides? Underage girls. Yes, you heard it right. Girls as young as 10, 11 or 12 are being married off by their families to men twice their age or even older. Reason? Money. Girls have become a commodity in Pakistan where parents are using them to survive poverty. The girl you see on the screen is Najma Ali. Najma got married when she was 14. Listen to what she says.
The flood came and our houses fell. All the animals died. My family said we have nothing now. That is why we are getting you married. My husband gave my parents 2.5 lakh rupees for the marriage, but he had taken a loan, which we now have no way of returning.
You might be wondering, what does the monsoon season have to do with child marriages? Well, let me explain. In Pakistan, the monsoon season from July to September is vital for farmers and food security. However, recent years have seen unusually heavy rains causing landslides, floods, and damage to crops. This has had a devastating impact, with a third of the country underwater and millions displaced. And this has led to a new trend of monsoon brides. Scientists believe that climate change is behind these extreme weather events. Pakistan is currently among the top 10 countries in the world most affected by climate change.
If we look at the figures, considering the impact of climate change or the flooding, we had 45 marriages this year in this village. Out of only 250 families, 15 marriages took place in the last 3 months.
15 शादियां हो गई हैं.
In Pakistan, the legal marriage age for males is 18, but for females, it remains 16, despite the minimum age for both genders being recognized as 18 internationally. However, the law is rarely enforced and child marriage is rampant in Pakistan. According to the United Nations, Pakistan has the 6th highest number of girls married before the age of 18 in the world. See this shocking report. A 12-year-old girl was forced by her father to marry a 72-year-old man in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The girl's father had agreed to sell his daughter to the man for 5 lakh Pakistani rupees. Parents of 12-year-old Mehtab Sheikh had planned to marry off their daughter before this monsoon. However, after the intervention of an NGO, the wedding is now postponed. Mehtab says she wants to study.
I don't want to get married now. I see married girls around me who have been challenging lives, and I don't want this for myself. I want to study.
Child marriage takes away a girl's right to a safe childhood, education, and opportunities for a better future. It traps them in a cycle of poverty that is hard to escape. The monsoon season may be unpredictable, but one thing is clear. Every girl deserves a childhood, not an early marriage. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us here in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.